So today's the day we're installing our new nitrogen suspension on the Cannon Alpha. Let's get the car in the workshop and let's get the job done. Let's get the car on the hoist. However, before we do that, Sammy, what's the measurement?
92.
We've got 92 on the front, okay, with the stock wheels, and we're gonna do a comparison after we finish. And what's the rear, Sammy? We've got 93, okay. So it's slightly higher in the rear. He's got a roller shutter on the back. He's got our manual roller shutter with the fingerprint. Let's see if my fingerprint works. Oh no, it doesn't like me. Anyway, let's get this car up in the air. Let's get the nitrogen suspension on. Let's go! Alright, so when you're working on these, make sure you remove your upper control arm. Make sure you undo your bolts. These are a pain in the ass and very tight. We use a meter long crack bar to crack that. And we pivot these out of the way, then you can get access to your shock absorber. Alright, now the reservoir brackets get mounted under the sway bar here. We drop our bottom drop link out, okay, down here. So we move the bottom drop link out of the sway bar so we can get full access to this to move this out of the way. This side here is a nut that's captive, okay, so make sure you don't need to hold that back nut, you just undo it from the front here, very easy. Once you've done this, you pivot your control arm up, okay, on the Tank 500 and the Cannon Alpha. You don't need to do upper control arms. These have enough articulation and play in these, and also they're a lot more stronger control arm than your factory ones in your GWM Cannon and also in your Tank 300. So these will be fine on a 2-inch lift on a car, no dramas at all, okay, with our shock absorber. So that's why we don't supply it in the kit, because even with our nitrogen and the 2.5-inch on the front, it's fine. Works perfectly with the upper control arm. So let's get this job underway. All right, we've got the GWM Cannon Alpha up on the hoist. Now let's get our suspension in. Let me introduce you to our new nitrogen suspension. We've been doing the nitrogen kits on the market for the past 3 years. However, we keep updating them. We've played around with dampening rates. We've also played around with whether they're two-way adjustable. We've even got a new model of the single-way adjustable dampers coming, okay, so that's going to be our entry level in the nitrogen kit. With our single way adjustable, you still have your aircraft aluminium coilover, okay, so it'll come in a nice aluminium housing. It'll still have an adjustable dial on it, so you can still adjust your compression, and it will still be height adjustable on the front. Now let's run you through the kit we're about to install on this car, which is a 3-way adjustable damper. So on the bottom of the leg, you've got a rebound adjustable. Now this has 10 stages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll show you how to adjust the rebound now. So, okay, we'll put it on soft. We'll push this down. Watch how fast it comes out. So that's your fast rebound. Now we're going to slow it down. So we're going to put it all the way, and it's going to be harder to press in. And we're going to push it out, and look how slow this is. And then if we undo it, it'll go fast. So that's what your rebound does. Your rebound is when it compresses in and it's coming out, okay? So it's controlling the stroke. Let's show you on the high speed and low speed compression. So on the top here, you've got a dial, high speed, all right, which is this dial here, which is already all the way maxed out to soft. And if you turn it in, you've got 16 ways of adjustable on this, and then you've got low speed 12 adjustable on this one here as well, okay? So little increments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? You can feel the clicks when you're clicking it. Now what that does is, say for instance, if you're driving along on normal road, you're sort of only gonna ever use the low speed adjustment, okay? So your low speed is just for your normal road, nice suspension working, nice slow speed compression. So if you want to make it stiffer, you would dial the dial clockwise. Okay, so this is the high speed on the outside. You'd get the center one and you'd put the low speed and you turn it clockwise. So this is turning it anti-clockwise now, so which has just made it completely way more softer. And then if you turn it in, which is clockwise, this now is making it stiffer. What I'll show you is, I'll put everything on soft, which is anti-clockwise on everything, and then you watch. I'll be able to push this in quite easily, all right? So that's on fast rebound, soft compression on low speed and high speed, okay? Now if I grab the black dial and do it, your 12 clicks, all right? Watch this. Okay, it's a lot more stiffer for me to press now. And then I'll undo it, okay? And then we'll do high speed, which will make it even harder again. Okay, so that's your high speed. When would you want to make it stiffer? Depending on what you're doing. If you're doing any hard obstacles off-road and you want it nice and soft, so it's comfortable, you can make it a lot softer. If you're touring, you're changing the load, your caravan, you're towing, you want to change how the car's handling, how the dampening rate is, okay? You can do that all by just jumping under your car and just clicking a few little clicks and finding the right compression adjustability for you. You've got your rebound, your compression on the top. That's on the rear shock absorbers. Okay, they come pre-assembled. They've got a nice dust boot cover on the bottom. Sammy did mention something to me that he noticed this. He was like, what is this? We've got internal bump stops built into the shock absorbers, all right? So say for instance, you do a big jump and you bottom out, that saves your shock from maxing out. So internal bump stops, rebound, compression, high speed, low speed compression adjustability. Look how nice they look. They fit really well. They're also longer shock absorbers, so you will get more droop. So we'll show you the droop on this now. We'll come over to the car and we'll do a quick measurement. Sammy just had a little whinge at me. He's like, you're making me look bad on YouTube. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, well, you said, I don't know what it is. He actually did say to me, hey, Byron, look, they've got internal bump stops. So apparently I'm the one that looks bad. Thanks, Sammy. Okay, now we're over at the rear of the Cannon Alpha. I'm gonna show you what droop is, okay? So droop is how much your car articulates. So say, for instance, you're in an off-road scenario, you want as much droop as possible because that keeps traction on the ground when you're in an off-road scenario, okay? So we're gonna measure the factory droop. All right, so we're gonna go from here and we're gonna measure from the guard down to here, which is, you're looking at 59.5, okay? So just remember that, guys, 59.5. We're gonna put our leaf springs in, we're gonna put our shock absorbers in, and because these are a longer shock absorber than the factory one, you'll see how much longer they are than the factory. That'll keep you in contact with the ground no matter what scenario you're in off-road. All right, so we're gonna pull the rear shock out now. Just getting Sammy to quickly pull the rear shock out so you can see the shock length difference between the stock shock and our shock. Let's have a look at this shock length, Sammy. All right, let's pull this out. There you go. So that's the difference in articulation you'll get with our rear suspension. This is our nitrogen suspension, okay? So a lot of suspension on the market are the big brands out there that you guys all think are fantastic, which they probably are in their own ways. However, one of the things with articulation, you will not get articulation in your Cannon, all right, with the stock shock length, because the shock length is way too short, and when you're off-roading, I'm gonna get more traction, all right, and you're not. That's one of the advantages of our nitrogen suspension kit. Okay, we've got Sammy starting to install the suspension in the background, okay? So he's gonna be installing it. I've got the greasable shackles here, so rear greasable shackles, new pins, new bushings, all right? That's what comes in the kit. You've got 2 leaf springs. These are our 1 to 300 constant load, okay? They raise the rear up 40 to 50 mil, so it gives you a nice even ride when you put this nitrogen suspension in the front. If you're gonna be doing any heavy towing constantly, or you're gonna load the rear up with a canopy, draw set, tools, all that sort of stuff, we also do a 300 kilo plus spring. That's optional, sells separately, so you can be able to purchase that on our website. With this suspension, you've got full adjustability of height. Now, a lot of suspension on the market, what I've found is, they use a C-spanner. Now the C-spanners are terrible for when you want to adjust it on the car. It's nearly impossible to adjust the C-spanner shock depending on the car because of the access you've got in the front of the car. You need to try and unlock the collar. It's got 2 locking collars. Ours is so much easier. Look at this. You've got a nice 5mm Allen key in here. You pop a 5mm Allen key, undo it, unlocks the locking then of the collar, so it unlocks the collar. Then you jam that in there, you're included in the kit, and then you wind this down, because it's reverse thread, wind this down if you want to raise the vehicle, because that applies less load on the spring tension, okay? So nice adjustable shock absorbers can easily be done on the car. You just need to jack your car up. You can leave the tire on there. Make sure you spray some good lubricant in here. Lube the hell out of it. Make sure your thread is clean in here. And then you just wind this. Make sure this is all the way seated when you're doing it. Make sure it's not halfway in because this is aluminium and you will damage the aluminium. Make sure it's seated, put pressure internally and turn it. There you go. So that's how you adjust our suspension, our nitrogen suspension. Now, what else do you get included in the kit? So you get the bushes, the shackles, the front pins, the leafs, shock absorbers. You got mounting. Let's see where these mount. So this is where your sway bar mounts down the bottom there, and that mounts in the car. Then your reservoir mounts nicely to this from the back, and then your hose clamps go around the front of it. Okay, so it comes with the hose clamps in the kit. That mounts there, and then you've got 2 rubbers that go in the middle. The sleeves go on here on either side. You adjust that accordingly, and then we'll show you how to get this on the car now. All right, now on the rear U-bolts, we're gonna be reusing the factory ones, which are an M14 bolt, okay? So we're gonna be doing these up to about 130 Newton meters. So we've got the torque wrench set to 130 Newton meters, and we're gonna do this in a staggered, so cross direction of checking the bolt pattern. Let's go. And you're gonna go until it clicks, that's it, 130. Check this one, 130, we go cross, 130. 130, okay, so now these have been torqued up in a crisscross pattern to 130 Newton meters. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is what we recommend is any of our customers get this in fitted with us, come back after 500 kilometers to get this rechecked because the leaf packs will settle in and you will lose your torque spec on the bolts, on the U-bolts. All right, so if you've got your suspension done with us, we recommend coming back after 500 kilometers and we'll just re-torque these to 130 to their specified torque settings. There you go, a little tip is when you're installing your rear shocks, make sure your rebound is on fast and the slow and high speed compression is set to as soft as possible. So all the way out, so anti-clockwise, okay? And then you'll be able to compress the shock, otherwise it'll be very hard to compress for you. Come on, Sammy, use those biceps, let's have a look. Whoa, look at that peak, let's go. Come on, mate, compress it. Let's get it in, Sammy. Okay, when you're installing your rear shock, make sure the adjuster is facing out, not inside this. You'll never be able to get access to it. So we've got the front passenger side nitrogen shock installed, as you can see. The adjuster's down here, so you can adjust your rebound, your compression. On here, your high speed and low speed. This is the prototype that we're testing on Rico's Cannon Alpha. So we're just gonna make some adjustments to this. So the hose is now gonna run along here, and this bottle, the adjuster will be on the front of the shock, okay, facing the front of the car. So this is the prototype one. We've made some changes, and the hose is gonna run along here, and it mounts to the sway bar, as you can see, on the nice bracket. So we supply the bracket in the kit. You route it down here. Just make sure when you're installing our nitrogens to keep it away from the arm on full droop. So what we normally do is we cable tie here. There's always a hole on all of the models, all of the GWM range. We put a nice big cable tie here and pull it in towards here so that it's nice and away from, got clearance on your upper control arm on full droop. So it runs underneath it. So there you go. Let's finish this car off. Okay, so we've got the driver's side done. Now, I'll give you a few little pointers if you're gonna tackle this at home by yourself, all right? So, up here you've got your 19mm, 21mm, that backs off your upper control arm. You wanna back that off so you can clear that out of the way nice and easily. Very, very hard to crack these. They're very, very tight, okay? So you'll need to crack this end on the nut side. You got your little split pin, you pull that out, okay? You put that back in, so you pull that out. This is a 19mm, undo that. On your sway bar, you'll need to undo your sway bar as well. So you got 18mm with a Torx bit that goes inside to stop it from spinning. Okay, so Torx in there, 18 mil, that undoes the sway bar. You need to undo both sides so that can swing out of the way. Then you've got another bolt down here, and this is an 18 mil. So you do the front end of it, never touch the rear, because the rear is actually captive in there. It slots in, so when you undo the front, it actually holds the back. It doesn't spin around. So you only need to undo it from the front. Then that pretty much gives you full access to everything. Now, once you finish putting everything back together, you tighten everything back up except for your upper control arm bolts. You want to do your upper control arm bolts last. So you put the car on the ground. Once your car's on the ground, you do your upper control arm bolts up. So there's a little tip on the front. Let's go to the back and have a quick look. You've got your factory U-bolts that we've reused. We've torqued them up to 130 Newton meters. We've got a 15 bolt here. Okay, so you undo this side. And then up here, you've got an 18 nut. All right, so your 18 nut is up there. Your adjusters for your compression and slow and high speed is on the top up here. So that's how that looks under there. You got your nice boot. So these here, make sure when you install them, you pull these over and they clip over. So I'll clip that on now. All right, so we're just going over it all. You've got your pins over here. So 21 on the bolt for both the new one and the factory one. However, the nut size does change. Okay, so I think the nut size on this is a 19, isn't it, Sammy?
No, that's 21.
Oh, it's a 21 on both sides.
21, and the other one is 19. Head is 19.
Okay, so we've got a 19 and a 21 nut. All right, we've got the greasable shackles. Okay, so greasable shackles, they're all installed. We've put the grease nipples on the inside. Once we get this on the ground, we'll tighten all this up, okay? And make sure when you tighten these, we tighten these all on the ground and we grease them up on the ground as well. Now, another thing you need to do is drop your rear wheel, otherwise you won't get access up here. All right, so this spare tire is just hanging and dangling, okay? To drop that down, you'll access it with your factory tools. Down through there, drop your wheel out of the way. Good morning. It's day 2, isn't it, Sammy? It's Wednesday and we're back on the Alpha. So we finished it yesterday, and now we're going to adjust the height of the vehicle. So we lifted at 20 mil currently, and we're just getting the fine tuning of how many turns we need to get it to a 2-inch lift, and then how many turns we need to get it to a 3-inch lift. Straight out of the box, these will be default at a 2.5. If you want to wind it down, we'll show you how to adjust it now. So we're in the car now. We've undone the 5 mil little Allen key, as you can see there. Now we're going to spray. We've already sprayed it, but I'll show you. Decent spray. Make sure this is brand new, so it's nice and clean. We're going to spray shitloads of this. Make sure you get between this disc as well, even if you can, in here, and that'll allow it to turn a lot easier than with no lube. Make sure if you've been off-roading and it's filthy, you have to gurney this and degrease it and clean it, and then spray it with some decent lubricant. Some WD-40 will be enough, silicone spray. So yeah, now let's go and adjust it. Let's get this car raised. So we're gonna wanna wind the collar up to get tension, because this is reverse thread. So to wind it up, I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna stick this in here, okay, and then I'm gonna, so what I'm gonna do is make sure you keep track of your Allen key, because one turn is going to be one turn of this. When you see this back at the front, this Allen key, that means you've done one full rotation. So we're going to count that. Now make sure when you're putting this in, you stick it in and put pressure, and make sure you don't just stick it in halfway and then do this, because you'll actually damage the aluminium. So make sure it's all the way in and push while holding it in. Okay, so that's 2 turns now. We're gonna go 3 turns on this, because this is sitting quite low, so we need to raise this around 25 mil, because at the moment it was sitting at around 25 mil raised over the factory height. So I'm gonna go 3 turns on it. Let's go, Sammy.
Okay.
Easy, man.
Yeah, it is bloody tight.
Tight? Not for me. You go to the gym, Sammy.
Just to ask for the specials.
Okay, so that's 3 turns now. We can see the Allen key. Now we're gonna put the car on the ground and just see how much it's wound the car up. As you can see, we've kept the wheel We've taken the car up on the hoist so there's no load on the suspension. We've made sure the thread is clean, we've lubricated it very well, undone the grub screw, and we've just raised the car. Let's get it on the ground and see what height we're sitting at now. Another quick tip when you're installing the rear shock, make sure the dust seal, you put a cable tie on the bottom, okay? Clip it over the lip and make sure it's seated correctly, and then put a cable tie to stop the boot from falling off. All the greasable shackles are all greased up now, so we've greased all those. Okay, the car is lifted. We took it for a big drive. We've been driven around 20 Ks, 25 Ks in it, and we've just got back to the workshop. We've done a final check. We ended up moving the front suspension 5 turns. So each turn is 2.5 mil, which equates to 5 mil of lift because it doubles. Okay, and so now we're back here, we've measured it again. Let's measure it, Sammy. What are we at now? So originally we were at 92, yeah? 92. We've got 92 on the front. So we're at 97 now, okay? Originally we were at 92, so it's gone up. You're looking at 50 mil. So we're running it on the complete softest setting and a fastest rebound at the moment, and we took it on the stock wheels and tires, and it rode very nicely. We took it off-road. Probably the first time Rico's car's been off-road. Took it up a little hill climb and everything. So yeah, that's what it looks like. Let's get the wheels on it now, Sammy. Let's go. Look at Sammy, look at what's ready. Run, 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 Sammy. All right, we've just finished the lift kit. Now we're gonna go for a drive, do some more testing with the new wheels on it, and get Sammy's impression. You ready to be on YouTube, Sammy?
No.
He's never ready. Alright, so now we're just going to test the flex on our new nitrogen suspension. Let's go. Slow. That's it, stop there. We're in the Cannon Alpha anyway. We just went for a quick test drive. Finished it up with our nitrogen suspension. It is so smooth, no bumpiness. We've actually stiffened up the front. We did 5 clicks on the high speed and 3 clicks on the low speed. Okay, and Sammy, how does it turn in now?
Yeah, way more control.
So it turns in better, 10 times better.
Yep.
I took it for a quick drive, threw it through a few corners. It handles really well. The ride's so nice. And the best thing about it, if you think it's too soft, you can stiffen it up, and if you want slower rebound, you can control it. So like say for instance you're towing and you want to change it, easily done. Jump out in your car, just turn a few knobs, and full adjustability. So there you go. You can order that at savagetech.com.au. Peace out. Hope you have a good one. Hope that helps you work on suspension. You may not choose to buy ours. Anyway, there's a few little point and tips there. Show you how to work on the Cannon. Pretty straightforward car. And peace out. Have a good one. Thank you, guys. Woo! Sammy, listen to me. Sammy, listen to me.
Sammy, can you please concentrate? Please, please, I beg you.
Sammy, what are you doing? We're going to die. The car is falling to bits, Sammy.
You're wrecking the car.
You're wrecking the car, Sammy.
Oh, Sammy, you are wrecking the car.
We're not going to finish the race, Sammy.
Yeah.